Well, moving on, we're going to start our national news segment with, coincidentally, some internet news. First story comes from Wired magazine on their website, wired.com. The title is, "The FCC Wants You to Test Your Broadband Speeds." Supposedly, this is part of the National Broadband Plan's desire to increase the amount of download and upload speeds you could have. They want to bring to all homes, I believe it says sometime by like 2010, 100 megabytes per second, which would be great because we barely get a megabyte per second here. Yeah. So this is 100 times faster than what Humboldt County has been doing recently. And a 50 megabyte per second upload speed, which would be great because generally, as we've said, the upload speeds are prohibitive and we can barely get anything up, which is censorship in itself. So the constriction of speeds prevent us from accessing and providing knowledge and info. So right now, nationally, not Humboldt, is a 4 megabyte per second actual download speed on average and stuff. So the FCC is collecting IP addresses, Internet Protocol addresses, along with your physical address, and they promise not to release the street address, with some exceptions noted. So it's kind of a weird little thing, and they might not even be properly clocking your speed. You know a little bit about how they're doing.
Yeah, they, you know, of course, people are going to be manually doing these tests on their website for them, and you know, people could be doing it at their place of business or their home, not realize other people are on the same network downloading movies or watching, streaming things, or doing internet other activity. So you know, it could be that could skew the results. And also, you know, because people could be writing down fake addresses or not putting their actual address in, it's going to skew results of where the speeds are in the country. Mm-hmm. And it's probably not the best way to go about a really scientific, you know, investigation mm-hmm. of what our entire internet speeds look like around the country.
Yeah. Well, that's too bad. Hopefully something good can come out of something else, because that doesn't.
I'd love the 100 megabytes a second.
That would be great.
Bring it on, please.
Yeah, this is part of a panel that's meeting, and they're going to have a lot of recommendations. So,
well, we will keep you up to date on what's happening with the FCC and this whole broadband speed issue. Our next article comes from techflash.com. Classmates.com to pay up to $9.5 million to settle suit over phantom friends. And the Seattle-based Classmates.com has agreed to pay the $9.5 million to users to settle a lawsuit that accused the social network of sending emails that made people believe their old friends from high school were reaching out to connect, only to discover after paying for a membership that their long-lost buddies were nowhere to be found. And, you know, this is a classic thing. I actually even have gotten emails from these people as well, and they tell you know, and they have my right middle school and everything, and they say, oh yeah, these people want to get in touch with you. And it's all scam, it's all con men, and, you know, that's what we're trying to expose on this show, is all of the con men out there. Yeah. So, you know.
Yeah, I've gotten some of them too. There's other services too, like NetLog, and just a whole bunch of these.
And it's funny to me, I mean, even that people, like, fall for this stuff, mm-hmm. and they go along with it, and they actually pay money to these companies.
Yeah. Well, it's just like people get sent emails saying, oh, this is your bank, and we need your password. I mean,
don't be a sap. There's all kinds of scams out there.
Well, that's how, basically, I mean, there's no real hacking exactly going on. Really, ultimately, it's like
social
people disclosing information voluntarily, and then that's how you basically get hacked, is you provide the means by which it'll happen yourself. But our next story, continuing on with some internet news, is from osnews.com, and this is about Obama siding with RIAA, MPAA, and backs ACTA. That's quite an alphabet soup. To break some of this down for you, basically Obama wants to make sure that content is licensed and that American businesses are getting paid appropriately, he says. That's a direct quote. But there is fair use. And so, I mean, that's something that ultimately should be held supreme, and it should be promoted, but it's not going to be, because generally these entities want to get paid for their content. So they're not going to want people to do things like we do and feature content. I mean, when we get our stuff together a little bit better, we're going to have all sorts of, like, copyrighted content. It's going to be used in a fair use fashion, so we're probably going to get a whole storm of crap over that. But anyways, in Europe, the European Parliament has shot down the ACTA agreement. and with an overwhelming 633 to 13 person vote. And also, sadly, this means that while Europe has taken a stand against this in America, our consumers will continue to see their rights get eroded, the article concludes, as corporations and content providers further gain influence within the government. This means that devices you buy will not actually be yours, that uploading a video of your daughter dancing to a song on the radio could cost you thousands of dollars in damages, and it will also most likely mean that the three strikes law will be enacted. So this is another instance of basically you being subservient to the corporations and their copyrighted content. And Mark Twain himself said, I mean, there's one thing God can't make any sense out of, and that's copyright laws.
Yeah, our next article is about the Huffington Post, which sent the Jesse Ventura article to the memory hole. This is coming from Infowars.com, and but written essentially by this editor from the Huffington Post. The editor says that the Huffington Post editorial policy laid out in our blogger guidelines prohibits the promotion and promulgation of conspiracy theories, including those about 9/11. As such, we have removed this post, talking about Jesse Ventura's article that he wrote concerning 9/11, and you know, in reaction to this, Infowars, of course, has posted Jesse Ventura's article in full. They haven't censored it the way that Huffington Post has, and it's a shame that Huffington Post had to censor something like this.
Well, and they've also had articles featured about how the government's
About
been
9/11.
involved. No, well, government's been involved in the you know, drug smuggling and stuff like that. So I mean, that kind of stuff's not considered a conspiracy theory. So this is apparently they have this policy and they use it as a shield to protect themselves from promoting any kind of thing that they might catch flack on.
And of course,
maybe, I don't know.
the government's story of 9/11 is a conspiracy theory.
Yeah, in itself.
Those hijackers were a conspiracy, no matter how it's looked at.
Yeah. Oh, we could go into that all day. So we'll have another.
So another
really
instance of censorship here, and you know, shame on Huffington Post again for removing that.
Back to some more censorship being imposed via internet usage. This is from the Drudge Report. On the eve of the healthcare reform passing the House, on its way to the Senate to be confirmed and then has to be signed into law by Obama, and we'll see how that goes. Things are still unfolding. But an apparent effort to prevent employees from viewing dissent in the media on this healthcare issue. The title of the article is Senate Warns Employees to Avoid the Drudge Report. They said that there was viruses that people were getting from visiting the Drudge Report. And on that day, Drudge served over 29 million pages and had not one email complaint received about pop-ups or the site serving viruses. So in reality, there was no threat. So this is basically censorship being imposed under the guise of fear and safety, saying that people can't go there. So that's pretty outrageous.
In other news, it's come out that Annabelle Park, the Coffee Party founder, was actually a campaign operative for the Obama campaign during 2008. And essentially, this woman, she's worked for New York Times. It came out she was a former strategy analyst at the New York Times, which helps explain why they've written such nice articles about her, saying how great the Coffee Party is while they demonize Tea Party people. And the Coffee Party was essentially put out as like a response to the Tea Party movement, a Democrat version of it or whatever. And this isn't to say that we support the Tea Party movement. Much of it's been hijacked by the mainstream Republican and neocon fascist agenda, unfortunately, as most movements tend to be hijacked by these criminal thugs.
Yeah. I mean, neocons love thriving on using fear to promote their agenda. So they'll get people whipped into a frenzy about something, but they won't really comprehensively address the issue, and they'll exploit it for their own aims. But moving on, that was a good story from Prison Planet. Moving on, we've got, this is from the PR Newswire, and the source is the American Legislative Executive or Exchange Council. It's about Virginia, first state to pass Healthcare Freedom Act, 38 states lining up against Obamacare.